What's going on, everybody? I'm John Turner. Welcome back to Woods to Table. Man, it is a beautiful fall day outside. I mean, the weather is absolutely impeccable. We're not hunting this weekend. We've actually already got a couple of deer down here in the early archery season, and we're going to give that a break a little bit until rifle season comes in. So, perfect opportunity just to start thinking about duck season, some of the duck hunts that we've got coming up, and also focus on a little bit of giving back, right? And working on the habitat for the ducks, give them some place they can nest and feel safe, and later we will hunt them. So I'm going to show you how we're going to build a duck box today. The dimensions, there's designs everywhere on the internet, right? And they're all fairly similar. This one comes from Ducks Unlimited. The tools and materials that you need are very, very simple. That's not to say that this is cheap, but it is a really, really simple build. You're basically just building a big shoebox that we're going to put on a post out there next to the water, and we'll show you how we're going to do it. All right, so in terms of the materials, we just want a couple of sheets of this 1x10. I selected pine. You could use cedar. You don't want treated lumber. That's about the only restriction that you have. This stuff is not cheap. It's about 24 bucks a board at Lowe's for this 1x10 by 8. And you need about 10 feet, a little bit more of material for each duck box that you're going to build. All right, so we're going to go ahead and just cut all of our pieces out of our material, and then we just have assembly to go to do from there. So I'll go ahead and post the dimensions for each of these pieces up in one of these two corners. But the first piece that we're going to cut is 31 inches, and that's going to be for the back. All right, so dust everywhere. We're just going to put a series of holes in the 7.75 inch piece, 7 3/4 inch piece. It's going to be the bottom. This is just going to let everything drain out the bottom. It's going to help it keep from rotting a little bit. Okay. One other thing that I want to go ahead and do, so we've got the holes bored in the bottom. I want to pick a piece that's going to be the front. Before we get all this put together, I want to go ahead and clamp this piece down and go ahead and cut the entry hole out of this front piece. And it's going to be a little bit easier, I think, than when I have the entire box assembled just working with one board. We'll get some clamps. So we want to put an oval shaped entry hole about 3.5 inches from the top of this front facing piece. And I'm terrible at drawing stuff freehand, but I've noticed I've got a fairly pliable cup here from just in the kitchen. A solo cup will get you most of the way there. If you just squeeze this down into an oval shape, this will get you to about the right dimensions. Ducks Unlimited says you want this to be about 3.5 inches across and then 4.5 inches on the longer side. This will get me most of the way there, and then I'll just kind of kick out the edges as I go around the oval just to make it a little bit bigger. But this will help me where I'm not good at freehanding these shapes. Okay, so we're just about ready for final assembly. We're going to score some lines up the inside of this front face so that the ducklings or whatever can climb out of the box. Give them a little bit easier time to get grip on the inside of this smooth wood. And I'm just going to take this T-square and just put some lines in here all the way up the inside of the face of this box, just to give me a guide for this saw. Not sure how far apart these need to be, but we'll just put them ever so, every couple of inches all the way up. And then I've drastically reduced the depth on the blade of this saw so that it's just barely below this guard. I don't want it to go all the way through this piece of 1x. I just want to be able to score it a little bit. About right. It doesn't go nearly all the way through. We're just going to score it kind of in the center of this board. We'll do that all the way up. Before I put this thing together, this sharp edge or the raw edge on either side of this hole that we cut. I just want to sand this down with some medium or some coarse grit sandpaper so that that's smooth, so the ducks coming in and out of there don't scratch themselves. All right, so we've got all of our pieces cut and prepped, and now the only thing left to do is screw this whole thing together. We're going to pilot bore these holes with an 1/8" drill bit just to make sure that it doesn't split out, because this is really narrow and soft wood. We've got some 1 5/8" number 2 Phillips tip wood screws that we'll use to screw it all together. So we're going to go ahead and start lining up our pieces. All right, so we're going to do the same thing with the bottom piece. Let's go ahead and mark where we want to screw this in place. Okay, so let's go ahead and attach our front, which is just going to sit on here just like so. Do this one on the corner and it'll kind of hold it in place for the rest of it. See that? All right, so we've got the front and one of the sides on and the bottom. And now this other side, we want to be able to swing free or pivot as like a clean out door, so you can get in there and clean the shavings out every once in a while. And so we don't want to screw it in on the top and on the back. We want to just affix it at the top where it can kind of pivot like this. And then we need a little bit of play in here between this piece and the bottom side. So what we're going to do is I'm going to sneak a little washer underneath here in between this front face and the bottom, just to create a little bit of room in between, so that when I screw this down tight, I still have some play to be able to open this side door, if I can get this washer in here. Fasten this back down. Hope that leaves me the clearance that I need. If not, add another washer. Okay. And then on this top, instead of putting a screw in here, I'm just going to drive a nail that I actually don't want to be extremely tight. So I'm going to drive a little tiny hole where this nail is going to go. This will effectively serve as the hinge for this thing. I've got a little finish nail here. Okay. We'll do the same thing on the back side. All right, and then we'll make ourselves a little redneck door pull to put on this thing. I don't have an actual door pull. We're going to screw a screw into this thing just so I can use it to open and close this door. And that actually turned out to be about the right amount of tension by the time it was all said and done. So now we can use this screw about once a year to open this thing up and close it. That worked out, huh? Okay, last remaining thing, we have a fully assembled duck box. Now we just want to put the roof on it. Then we're going to be ready to take this thing out to the property, sink the post in the ground, and install it. And hopefully something's going to come to live and nest in here. Okay. So that's in place. Now we just need to screw it in from the back. All right, so one more thing here before we head out and install this thing. There's nothing about this that's low profile. But to the extent that I can, I do want to eliminate any shine, and I'm using these and they're gold colored screws. So I'm just gonna take a Sharpie and touch these things up on the outside here a little bit, just to eliminate that shine where I can, as much as I can. How's that? Not too bad. I think some duck is gonna be happy with that little home. So we're gonna get this thing out. We'll take it out to the pond, sink that post, fill that hole with cement, and I've got an idea of how we're gonna do a predator guard for that post, because I couldn't find any sheet metal. So I'll talk you through exactly how we want to do that, and I think I've got a way that it's going to make this thing safe and sound for any little critters living inside. All right, so it's starting to get dark. I hope the light's still okay. Had a second thought. We were packing everything up and getting ready to head out to the property to start to install the duck boxes. And I decided I'm going to go ahead and put these predator guards, or what I'm going to use for a predator guard, on here. It occurred to me it's probably easier to do it here with all my tools and everything. So we're going to go ahead and show you how I want to do this. This is extremely experimental, but I found a couple of these, I don't know, just mixing bins that you can use for concrete or the like at Lowe's, and they're like $5. It's nothing more than just a plastic bin. And the idea here is we're going to cut a hole or a square out of the center of this that fits over the top of the 4x4 post down to a certain height. We'll attach that in place. I want to cut this ridge off of the outside so that there's not like a handhold or anything on here for animals to climb up over the top of this. And then this kind of inverted cone will effectively serve as the predator guard and hopefully keep all the ducks that have nested inside safe. I've got a couple of these L brackets that we're going to use, and we'll just affix this to either side of the post, all right? So it'll stick out just like this. And then we'll slide this down into place over top of these L brackets. We'll put a bolt and a washer through to secure this onto the L bracket, and then we'll have our duck house kind of up at this top portion here. All right, so it's a cloudy day, and I'd left my phone with Afton over on the other shore over there. So I'm looking for, and she's pointing me in the direction of true north. You want to position these duck boxes so that on whatever the prevailing winds, the ducks can kind of come in and have an easier time landing into the wind. So I'm expecting between north, northeast, and easterly winds. So I'm pointing these things west, southwest, or south. So now I know exactly where I want to put them. So now I know where to dig my holes for my fence posts. And I'm using just these treated 4x4 posts. I want to dig these about 18 inches down. I'd go 2 feet, but these are only 6 foot long 4x4s, so I want to leave myself enough space to put the predator guard and the duck box on top. Post holes dug, I've got, I'll put about a half a bag of fast setting cement into each one. And then I brought a bucket. We'll just add some water to that cement just so it can start to set. Then I cut a couple of pieces of 2x4s that I'll screw to the bottom here just to give these some support and hold them in place. Fit that predator guard over the top because the hole was cut to the right dimensions. So glad that I did all that stuff back at the house before coming out to this island. Screw the duck box in place. Install is really, really simple. Now we'll take those L brackets and put those in place and bolt the predator guard on with the holes that we had already prepped when we were back at the house. Install could not be any simpler. You do want these things to pitch forward just a couple of degrees so that the rainwater can run off the roof a little bit easier. But here's a look at the finished product. I think it's looking pretty good. that's about it for me, you guys. I hope you can hear me over the smoker that we got going. We've got some meat going in the background. I hope that you found that informative and just as much fun as I did. I had a blast building those duck boxes, and installing them was a snap. And I'm really looking forward to the upcoming duck season and hope that we have a successful season. Hope there's already some ducks that are circling around out there and maybe finding those duck boxes and calling those things home. And thank you guys so much for watching and supporting the channel, and we'll see you guys next time, and God bless.